Good morning, Wall Street winners. It is Monday, September the 16th. It's just after 9 a.m. We're about 25 minutes to the market open. And if we look at where we are in terms of the futures on the Bloomberg app, we can see that we are up slightly, 0.2% or 85 points on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but we are down slightly on both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 futures. We've got a busy week ahead of us, and as we flip over to our Yahoo Finance trading app, there's a few things to be aware of this week on the calendar. The biggest one, and what the narrative is all about for the next 3 days, is the Federal Reserve meeting, the FOMC meeting that starts Tuesday, tomorrow, and concludes Wednesday with a press conference and an announcement about a potential rate cut. And the narrative is really all about the size of that rate cut and whether it's going to be a quarter of a point or a half a point. And there are pros and cons to both of these, but I believe either way, it is going to be a very, very rocky Wednesday. We've also got some earnings out this week and some other information. So today we've got the Empire State Manufacturing Index. That's the New York State Manufacturing Index. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got retail sales for August. That's also when our Federal Open Market Committee, or the FOMC meeting, starts. We get a housing market index for September, and then we have business inventories for July. So that's a ways back. On Wednesday, we get housing starts and permits for August. So that is interesting. And then we have obviously the rate decision coming in, I believe 2 or 2:30. I think it's 2 o'clock it starts on Wednesday. And the press conference. General Mills, or GM, General Mills, also reports on Wednesday. We've got initial jobless claims for the week ending September 14th on Thursday. And then we have existing home sales for August on Thursday, and the Philadelphia Fed manufacturing survey on Thursday as well. And then finally, for earnings, we have FedEx, which will be an interesting one to speak about deliveries, primarily of consumer goods these days, and shipments for e-commerce companies, Darden Restaurants, Lennar, and Cracker Barrel Old Country Store all report earnings. And then we have Lennar. I'm not sure if Lennar is actually on Thursday or Friday, but anyway, we don't follow them. So that's where we are. And I think everyone is leaning towards, or the majority of people have been leaning towards, a 25%, quarter of a point basis cut. But now there's talk about the potential of a 50. And we don't know which way it's going to go. The Fed's going to make that decision. I think it's more important about what they lay out for the remainder of the year. A lot of people are expecting 3 cuts and a total of 3/4 of a percentage point. So if we hear anything different than 3/4, anything lower, I think the markets are going to dive. And if we hear anything more, I think the markets are going to roar forward. So it'll be very interesting to hear the dot plot and what the Fed expects this year for future cuts, especially knowing that we're an election year and we're getting closer to that November election timeframe. And the Fed doesn't want to be political. It typically does not take input from politicians, and it doesn't favor any one political party. So it wants to be viewed as independent. It wants to focus on its mandate, which is inflation around 2% and employment within a given range that's suitable for the economy and for the country. So we'll come up to Wednesday and we'll see what they're going to say. But everything is going to hinge, like it does on earnings, not just on what they announce in terms of the rate cut for September, but it will hinge on what the future forecast is for the remainder of the year. It's also looking like Donald Trump avoided another assassination attack, this time on his golf course. I believe it was yesterday. So that individual, 58-year-old male, is taken into custody, and the president-elect candidate is safe in Mar-a-Lago. We turn to the Yahoo Finance app, and I'm just going to run through things quickly today because it's a mix of green and red on the screen. And I'm just going to focus on one stock that if I were to have to pick one stock today, this week, to buy, to make a percentage gain on, that one stock out of everything we follow would be in the tech sector, and it would be this one right here, Alphabet. I believe that if you buy Alphabet at 58.07 today at open, I believe this will be a $62 or higher stock by the end of the week. This stock has been hit hard and is not recovered like other tech stocks. It continued to get hit harder as other tech stocks recovered. And it started a recovery last week, and I believe that recovery will continue this week. That would be the one stock in the tech sector that I would look at putting into my portfolio and have been adding to my portfolio. The others would be in finance. And obviously, I love SoFi. And SoFi sitting here at 774, I think is a little rich. So I think there's movement for that stock to come down a bit before it goes back up into earnings coming in October. But I do really like Morgan Stanley in the under 100 range, and I love Goldman under 480. So those are two other stocks that I definitely have added into my portfolio over the last week or so. And that's where we are today. So let's wait and see what happens Wednesday. Let's see what comes out with some of these earnings later this week. And manage your risk, manage your downside risk here. So if you are in some positions that you feel are weak or they're weak companies, may be appropriate to trim those positions going into the fall timeframe and look at reallocating some of that capital. I know you might have to take a short-term capital loss if you do that, but then you get the upside of some future capital gains, and you can write those gains off against the losses, but you can recover to where you were by doing that. Good luck with your trades today. If you're liking these videos, please subscribe to the channel and tell someone else.